Hello, and welcome to Matador News. I'm Evan Mederos. We begin today's broadcast in the newsroom with Matador News reporter Jonathan Gripe for the latest on the midterm election results.
Republicans have gained control of the Senate for the first time in 8 years. The GOP gained 7 seats, one more than needed to have a majority in the Senate. Kentucky's Mitch McConnell will be the new incoming Senate Majority Leader for the party and spoke this morning about the election.
The American people have changed the Senate. So I think we have an obligation to change the behavior of the Senate and to begin to function again.
The election also allowed the Republican Party to strengthen their hold in the House of Representatives, where they now have the most politicians in the House since World War II. With the GOP completely controlling Congress, it is expected President Obama will have a strenuous time in his final 2 years in office. Alaska is now the most recent state to legalize marijuana. Marijuana legalization in many states has been an ongoing political issue. Alaska's new law taxes and regulates the production, sale, and use in the same way as Oregon and Washington, D.C.'s, making it legal for people over the age of 21. Under this new tax code, the federal government stands to make more revenue from taxing marijuana sales than those who will be legally selling it. Opponents say it could be enough to shut down local shops. In the California elections, Jerry Brown has been elected to a 4th term as governor in a victory over Republican Neil Kashkari. The votes for Governor Brown topped nearly 3 million, almost 60% of the vote. Democrats across the ballot continued their dominance in California, first with Gavin Newsom being elected for another term as lieutenant governor. Liberal candidate Betty Yee was elected for state controller, slightly edging out Ashley Swearingen with 53% of the vote. California's previous controller, John Chang, was elected to be the next treasurer with 58% of the vote. And Kamala Harris was reelected as Attorney General with 56% of votes. Out of the 6 propositions on the California ballot, only 3 were passed with the approval of voters. Proposition 1, a measure to authorize a $7.5 million water bond, passed with 67%. Prop 2 creates funds to allow the state to stabilize the economy in case of emergencies. The prop was heavily favored, receiving 69% of votes. Props 45 and 46 deal with health care and were not well liked by voters. Both measures lost by over 1 million votes. We will have more about these propositions later in the show. Next, Prop 47 passed in the closest race of all the propositions, winning with 58%. Prop 47 reduces penalties for certain criminals committing nonviolent drug crimes. Finally, Prop 48, which would have allowed the first Indian casino to be built outside of original tribal land, failed at the polls, obtaining only 39% approval. We'll have more on the election later in the show. Now back to Evan Mederos for more news.
Groups of Palestinians are clashing with Israeli police today at one of Jerusalem's holy sites. Israeli police say the Palestinian groups were throwing rocks and shooting fireworks at people on the Temple Mount. Eyewitnesses, however, give a conflicting view, saying that hundreds of police officers raided the holy mosque. Police say that the Palestinians have been pushed back to the Al-Aqsa Mosque at the current moment. This latest round of violence started when a Jewish right-wing activist was shot and killed by a Palestinian last week. LAPD is looking for a man suspected of stabbing another man to death in Koreatown this morning. According to the police, the victim was interceding in an argument between a man and a woman when he was stabbed. The victim was pronounced dead at the hospital shortly after. And in Anaheim, a man involved in a hit-and-run on Halloween has been charged with 3 counts of manslaughter. Two twins, Lexia and Lexandra Perez, and their friend Alexandra Gonzalez were killed while crossing the street. Jaquin Bell's arraignment has been postponed until December 16th. A 90-year-old Florida man has been charged with feeding the homeless in public. Arnold Abbott handed out 4 plates of food to homeless people in a South Florida park. Abbott and 2 pastors now face possible jail time and a $500 fine. Mayor Jack Seiler says this is the city's first crackdown under a new ordinance banning public food sharing. The mayor says they enforce the laws in Fort Lauderdale. However, Abbott says despite his arrest, he will be at Fort Lauderdale Beach ready to serve another meal. Matador News reporter Lorenzo Mutia spoke to the Director of Government and Community Relations, Francesca Vega. Here he is in the newsroom with more. Lorenzo?
Vega says yesterday's elections, despite the low turnout, may bring some changes on the national and local level. She says Democrats are debriefing on their losses nationwide.
What is the remainder of President Obama's presidency going to look like? What are the conversations in the White House right now? I'm sure it's probably something around, not taking maybe a stance on immigration the way the presidency should have. It also could be around leadership within the Democratic Party. Is it time for a change?
California's continued status as a blue state is in contrast to the rest of the nation, but Vega says Republicans did have a chance in several statewide races.
We're blue. We know we're going to stay there. There were some interesting races, including that of controller. Ashley Swearingen, was strong, and she really, there was an opportunity there for this new leader, woman from the Republican Party, to truly emerge. That was an interesting race.
In the County Board of Supervisors race, Sheila Kuehl has won a close race for the 3rd District seat to replace termed-out board member Zev Yaroslavsky, representing CSUN. Competitor and former Santa Monica Mayor Bobby Shriver conceded defeat this morning. Vega talked about the implications of Kuehl's win.
She gets the issues. She is a smart woman who understands the lay of the land. So I think that in an effort to be hopeful, I think that she will bring a dialogue to the Board of Supervisors. It's an extremely powerful board. It's a small board.
Now that the midterms are over, it's time to look to 2016 and the campaign for the White House. Now back to Evan in the studio.
Thanks, Lorenzo. Now let's take it over to Amy Martinez with health.
California voters reject Prop 45, a measure that would have allowed regulation of some health insurance premiums. The initiative would have given the state's elected insurance commissioner the power to veto rates deemed excessive. Another healthcare-related prop, 46, also went down. 46 would have required hospitals to randomly test their doctors for drug and alcohol use. The measure would have also required doctors to check the state's database before prescribing their patients addictive drugs. The third part of the measure would have raised the limit on medical malpractice awards from $250,000 to over $1 million. Doctors, hospitals, and insurance companies have put more than $100 million into fighting these two propositions. In Spain, nurse assistant Teresa Romero is now Ebola-free. Romero says she doesn't know how she was infected with the virus, but being cured was a miracle from God. She left the hospital today and is heading back home to regain her strength. Romero says the hardest part of having Ebola was the loneliness. Her dog, whom she considered the son she never had, was euthanized out of the concern that he might be infected. The doctor who treated Romero reassured the public that there is no danger of her being contagious. Now let's go to Ericka Sims with business.
Thanks, Amy. On Wall Street, stock prices rise as the Republicans take hold of Congress. Earlier today, the Dow Jones average reached record heights. The Dow is up 86 points at 17,470, and the NASDAQ is down 5.8 points at 4,617. Beyonce is having an amazing year promoting her self-titled CD, and her bank account is showing it. Forbes magazine says Beyonce is a top-earning woman musician for the second year in a row. She made $115 million, doubling the amount she made last year. Forbes calculates this income by looking at record and merchandising sales, touring, endorsements, publishing, and other ventures. Now let's go back to Amy for the latest updates on sports.
Baseball star Alex Rodriguez has admitted to the DEA that he used steroids for nearly 2 years. The news comes to light as A-Rod finishes serving his 162-game suspension. He says he bought performance-enhancing drugs from a fake doctor by the name of Anthony Bosch for $12,000 a month. Federal agents and prosecutors granted him immunity back in January, but how the latest revelation may impact his status is still unclear. The LA Kings win their first road game against the Dallas Stars after a 4-game losing streak. The Stars scored during their first period, but Trevor Lewis tied the game during the second period. In the third period, Dustin Brown scored, giving the Kings a 2-1 lead. The final score was 3-1. The Lakers have made franchise history by opening the season with 5 straight losses. Last night, they lost 106-112 against the Phoenix Suns. And The Clippers beat the Jazz Monday night and will play the Golden State Warriors tonight. Now let's check back in with Ericka for the latest in entertainment.
The highly anticipated movie Interstellar, starring Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway, hits theaters today. The movie is about two astronauts plunging into a wormhole to find an alternative to a dying Earth. The movie shot at one of Iceland's most interesting glaciers. Interstellar is predicted to earn $76 million within the first week of its premiere. The Country Music Awards will be airing on ABC from 8 to 11 at night. Carrie Underwood and Brad Paisley are back to host the awards for the 7th time. Country singer Miranda Lambert will be sharing the stage with Meghan Trainor to do a twist on the song All About That Bass. Dierks Bentley is the leading male nominee with 5 nominations, including Album of the Year. Ariana Grande will make her first appearance performing with Little Big Town. Now let's get back to Evan with the weather.
The weather is warming up today with temperatures in the mid to high 80s. To go with the heat, strong winds have been sweeping through the valley, causing firefighters to be on alert. A red flag warning is in effect and will potentially continue into tomorrow. Thank you for watching Matador News. I'm Evan Mederos. You guys have a wonderful day.